Welcome, sleepy stargazers, to another episode of Mythology for Sleep. Tonight, we journey to ancient Egypt, where the sun god Ra shines brightly, but a clever goddess named Isis harbors a secret ambition. She seeks power, and she knows the key lies in Ra's hidden name. Join us as we uncover how Isis, through cunning and a touch of magic, learns Ra's deepest secret, forever altering the balance of power. But just before we begin, if our stories help you drift off, please tap the like and subscribe buttons. In my channel, you can find Norse, Greek, and Egyptian mythology tales. Comment and tell me which myth you'd like to hear next. Your support help us craft and shape more calm stories for fellow night owls. And now let your shoulders sink softly into the mattress and your mind drift into today's tale. The sun dipped low, a fiery orb, painting the western sky in hues of amber and rose. Its light softened the desert sands, transforming the harsh landscape into a canvas of shifting gold and deep violet shadows. This was a time of peace, a profound quietude that settled over the land like a warm blanket. It was a time of abundance, where every harvest was plentiful and every heart was full. Ancient Egypt flourished under Ra's watchful eye, a benevolent gaze that instilled confidence and joy in his people. He was the great creator, the architect of all existence. He was the supreme deity, the very breath of life. Ra ruled from his celestial throne, a magnificent seat woven from the shimmering threads of starlight, cushioned with the softest, most ethereal clouds. His voice resonated through the cosmos, a sound that could be a gentle hum, like a bee in a lotus blossom, or a powerful roar that echoed through the void, shaking the very foundations of reality. All creation listened, from the smallest grain of sand to the largest galaxy. All creation obeyed, moving in harmonious rhythm to his divine will. The sky was his domain, a boundless expanse of cerulean by day and diamond-studded velvet by night. The earth was his garden, a vibrant tapestry of life, teeming with lush flora and diverse fauna. The underworld, too, bowed to his will, its shadowy depths illuminated by his distant light. He brought forth the dawn each morning, pushing aside the veil of night with a gentle hand. He guided the sunboat, the *Mandel*, across the heavens, its golden prow cutting through the celestial ocean. His journey was eternal, a promise whispered to every living thing. His journey was unwavering, a testament to his boundless power. Life bloomed wherever he gazed, responding to his warmth like a flower to the morning sun. The Nile, the lifeblood of Egypt, overflowed its banks each year, not with destructive force, but with a gentle, nurturing embrace. It deposited rich, black silt, nourishing the fertile soil with the very essence of life. Crops grew tall and green, swaying in the gentle breeze like dancers. Animals roamed freely, their calls echoing across the plains, unafraid and unburdened. People lived in harmony, their days filled with labor and laughter, their nights with restful sleep and dreams of prosperity. This was Ra's golden age, a period of unparalleled glory. It was a time of perfect balance, where order reigned supreme. Ra, though mighty beyond human comprehension, was growing old. His golden skin, once as smooth and flawless as polished electrum, now showed fine lines around his eyes, like ancient riverbeds etched into the land. His eyes, once blazing suns that could scorch the very air, held a softer glow, a gentle warmth that spoke of vast wisdom and enduring love. He still commanded all things with effortless grace. His power remained absolute, undiminished by the passage of countless eons. Yet a subtle weariness shadowed his ancient face, a faint shadow that only the most observant could perceive. He had created the world, speaking it into existence from the primordial waters of none. He had given life to all beings, breathing consciousness into clay and dust. He had spoken the words of creation, words of immense power that resonated through the cosmos. The first gods, a pantheon of powerful beings, sprang forth from his very breath, each endowed with a fragment of his divine essence. Humans, the culmination of his creative power, emerged from his tears, born of his joy and sorrow. He was the source of everything, the ultimate beginning, the Alpha and the Omega. Even in his advanced age, his presence filled every corner of existence. The air thrummed with his power, a subtle vibration that hinted at the infinite energy within him. The wind whispered his name, a soft sigh through the palm fronds, a roaring gale across the desert dunes. Birds sang his praises at dawn, their melodies a chorus of gratitude. Rivers flowed in his honor, their steady currents mirroring the unwavering flow of his divine will. He was the benevolent king, ruling with a gentle hand and an open heart. He was the tireless guardian, ever watchful over his creation. Yet a subtle shift was occurring, almost imperceptible, like the slow turning of a great cosmic wheel. Ra's reign, though absolute and unwavering, was entering a new phase. His wisdom deepened, growing richer with each passing eon. His gaze softened, reflecting a profound understanding of the joys and struggles of his creation. Among the gods, one stood apart, her aura shimmering with an ethereal light. Her name was Isis, and she was the cleverest of them all, her intellect a gleaming jewel among the divine. Her mind was a labyrinth of knowledge, intricate and vast, filled with ancient lore and innovative thoughts. Her heart held boundless compassion, a deep well of empathy that extended to all living things. She was a mistress of magic, her hands weaving intricate spells with effortless grace. She was a weaver of spells, her voice chanting words of power that reshaped reality itself. Isis possessed a keen intellect, sharp as a finely honed blade, yet tempered with profound insight. She observed the world with thoughtful eyes, missing nothing, seeing beyond the superficial veil of appearances. She understood the hidden currents that flowed beneath the surface of reality, the subtle energies that governed all things. Her wisdom was profound, rooted in deep study and intuitive understanding. Her insights were sharp, cutting through illusion to reveal the core truth. She watched Ra's daily journey across the sky, a spectacle of unparalleled majesty. She admired his immense power, a force of nature that shaped the very cosmos. She revered his benevolent rule, recognizing the profound peace and stability he brought to existence. Yet, a tiny seed of curiosity, like a single grain of sand, began to sprout within her. It was small at first, almost unnoticed, a mere whisper in the vastness of her thoughts. She saw Ra's aging form, observing the subtle signs of time's passage. She noted the slight weariness in his eyes, a flicker of something profound that went beyond mere physical aging. He still commanded the winds with a mere thought, stirring up desert storms or gentle breezes. He still moved the stars, orchestrating their celestial dance with precision. His authority was unquestioned, a fundamental truth of the cosmos. His might was undeniable, a force that none dared to challenge. But Isis, ever perceptive, felt a subtle imbalance, a faint discord in the harmonious symphony of existence. It was not a flaw, not a weakness in Ra himself. It was more like a curious asymmetry, a profound question that begged an answer. Ra's power was vast, infinite, boundless. Yet, its very source remained a mystery, a hidden spring from which all creation flowed. She pondered the nature of power, its genesis, and its manifestation. She mused on its origins, seeking to understand the fundamental principles that governed it. She understood the magic of words, their inherent ability to shape and define reality. She knew the potency of names, recognizing that a name was more than just a label. It was an encapsulation of essence. A name, she reasoned, held essence, the very soul of a being. A name held truth, the fundamental reality of its existence. Was Ra's power truly limitless, an uncaused cause? Or did it stem from something deeper, something more fundamental, something that could be defined and understood? She watched him preside over the divine council, his presence filling the celestial hall with light and authority. She saw the other gods bow before him, their respect genuine, their awe complete and unwavering. Yet she wondered, what gave him this absolute authority? What made him truly supreme, the undisputed ruler of all? She knew the stories of creation, the grand narratives of how the world came to be. She knew the legends of his birth, tales of his emergence from the primordial waters. But something felt incomplete, a missing piece in the grand mosaic of truth. Something felt unrevealed, a secret held close to the heart of the cosmos. Isis spent her days in deep contemplation, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts and theories. She walked through sacred groves, the ancient trees whispering secrets on the wind. She meditated by the Nile's tranquil waters, the gentle, lapping a soothing rhythm to her intense focus. Her thoughts drifted like wisps of cloud across the sky of her mind, forming intricate patterns, revealing new connections. She recalled ancient incantations, forgotten words of power that resonated with the very fabric of magic. She revisited forgotten scrolls, their brittle papyrus filled with arcane knowledge. She consulted the stars, their distant light offering cryptic clues. She communed with the spirits of the earth, their ancient wisdom speaking through the rustling leaves and flowing rivers. Always, her mind returned to Ra, the focal point of her quest. Always, her thoughts circled his power, seeking its ultimate source. She knew that words held immense power, a force capable of creation and destruction. A spoken word could create, bringing forth wonders from nothingness. A whispered word could destroy, unraveling the very fabric of existence. Spells were woven from words, their intricate patterns forming conduits for divine energy. Charms were imbued with words, their potency derived from the precise combination of syllables. This was her domain, the realm of language and magic. This was her expertise, a mastery honed over millennia. Could Ra's ultimate authority lie in a single word? A secret word, whispered only in the deepest cosmic silence. A hidden name, known only to himself. The idea was audacious, a bold leap of faith into the unknown. It was revolutionary, challenging the very foundations of divine power. It was also profoundly intriguing, a mystery that called to her brilliant mind. She watched Ra's interactions with the other gods and with humanity. He spoke with authority, his voice carrying the weight of creation. He commanded with grace, his every gesture imbued with divine purpose. His pronouncements shaped reality, bending it to his will. His decrees became law, immutable and eternal. But what was the source of that command? What was the root of that authority? Was it merely his divine nature, or something more specific? Isis considered the very fabric of existence, the intricate tapestry woven by Ra's will. She thought about the sun, Ra's eye in the sky, a constant source of life and warmth. She thought about the moon, its gentle glow, a reflection of his distant power. She thought about the stars, countless diamonds scattered across the velvet canvas of night. All were subject to Ra-S will, moving in perfect celestial harmony. All moved in accordance with his plan, a grand design known only to him. But what if his power was not inherent, an uncaused first principle? What if it was derived, flowing from a specific source, a unique identifier, a true name? This idea began to solidify, transforming from a fleeting thought into a firm conviction. It took root in her brilliant mind, growing stronger with each passing moment of contemplation. A true name, she knew from her vast magical knowledge, held the very essence of a being. To know a true name was to know the soul, to understand the core of its existence. To speak a true name was to command the spirit, to exert influence over its very being. It was the ultimate key, unlocking hidden potentials and profound truths. It was the ultimate weapon, capable of both creation and control. She had mastered countless spells, from the simplest incantation to the most complex ritual. She had unlocked ancient mysteries, deciphering forgotten glyphs and unraveling cryptic prophecies. But this was different. This was a mystery of cosmic proportions, a secret held at the very heart of creation. This involved the very source of all power, the prime mover of the universe. This involved Ra himself, the supreme deity. Isis began to observe Ra more closely, her gaze subtle, her attention unwavering, like a hawk circling its prey. She watched his routines, noting every gesture, every nuance. She listened to his pronouncements, analyzing every word, every inflection. She searched for any hint, any accidental slip of the tongue. She sought any clue, no matter how small, that might reveal his deepest secret. He would often sit upon his throne, a radiant being of golden light. The celestial light would bathe him, casting a warm, ethereal glow around him. He would radiate a gentle warmth, a comforting aura that soothed the souls of all who approached. His presence was comforting, like the embrace of a loving father. His presence was awe-inspiring, a testament to his boundless majesty. He spoke of creation, of the universe coming into being at his command. He spoke of order, the intricate laws that governed all things. He spoke of the balance of the cosmos, the delicate interplay of light and shadow, life and death. His words were always wise, filled with profound insight. His words were always true, reflecting the fundamental reality of existence. But none of them seemed to be the asterisk word, the specific utterance that held the key to his ultimate power. None seemed to be the asterisk name, the secret identity that defined his very essence. Isis knew that even the most powerful beings had vulnerabilities, a hidden seam in their otherwise impenetrable armor. Even the most ancient secrets could be uncovered, their layers peeled back with patience and cunning. She had seen the rise and fall of lesser gods, their power waning as their secrets were revealed. She had witnessed the unraveling of mighty spells, their intricate patterns dissolving into nothingness. Could Ra, the supreme being, the creator of all, also possess a hidden vulnerability? A secret that, if known, could shift the balance of power in the cosmos. The thought was unsettling, a tremor in the fabric of her understanding. It was also undeniably compelling, a challenge that ignited her intellectual curiosity. She did not seek to usurp Ra, to seize his power for herself. Her heart held no malice, no dark ambition. Her intentions were pure, driven by a thirst for knowledge and a desire for cosmic understanding. She sought understanding to grasp the fundamental truths of existence. She sought knowledge to unravel the universe's deepest mysteries. She sought balance, believing that true wisdom lay in a complete comprehension of all things. She sought the ultimate truth, the hidden core of reality. She believed that true wisdom lay in understanding all things, even the most profound secrets, even the most guarded truths. This was her quest, a journey into the heart of divine power. This was her purpose, a calling that resonated with her very being. Isis spent long hours in her magical workshop, a sanctuary of arcane knowledge. It was a place of shadows and light, where ancient secrets slumbered. It was filled with ancient texts, their yellowed pages inscribed with forgotten lore. It was adorned with mystical symbols, glowing faintly in the dim light. The air hummed with arcane energy, a palpable force that vibrated with power. She consulted her magical tools, each imbued with centuries of magic. She gazed into polished obsidian mirrors, their dark surfaces reflecting visions from other realms. She stirred shimmering potions, their colorful depths swirling with potent enchantments. She chanted softly, her voice a melodic hum, a haunting melody that resonated with the very essence of magic. Her spells sought insight, probing the boundaries of reality. Her magic sought revelation, pulling back the veil of illusion. She knew that Ra's power was benevolent, a force for good in the cosmos. He ruled with justice, his decrees always fair and equitable. He governed with compassion, his heart filled with love for his creation. But she also understood the nature of absolute power. It could be isolating, leaving the ruler utterly alone in their supreme authority. It could be unchallenged, leading to a stagnation of growth and understanding. A tiny spark ignited within her, a flickering flame of inspiration. It was the beginning of an idea, a daring notion that shimmered with possibility, a profound insight, a revelation that pierced through the layers of mystery. The true name holds the ultimate power. This was the key, the master lock to the cosmos. This was the answer, the solution to the grand mystery. If she could discover Ra's true, secret name, she would understand the very core of his being, the essence of his existence. She would grasp the foundation of his authority, the bedrock upon which his power rested. She would unlock the ultimate mystery, the deepest secret of creation. The idea was not born of ambition, not of a desire for control. It was born of curiosity, a burning need to know. It was born of a thirst for knowledge, an insatiable desire to understand. It was born of a desire for complete understanding, to see the universe in its entirety. She sought only truth, the unvarnished reality of existence. She sought only wisdom, the profound insight that came from knowing. She began to devise a plan, intricate and subtle, worthy of her clever mind. It involved patience, waiting for the opportune moment. It involved observation, noticing the smallest details. It involved a touch of her unique magic, a delicate manipulation of cosmic forces. The sun continued its daily cycle, a constant rhythm in the vastness of time. The world continued to thrive, bathed in the golden light of Ra's benevolence. Ra continued his benevolent reign, overseeing his creation with wisdom and love. But beneath the surface, a subtle shift was occurring, a quiet ripple in the cosmic ocean. A quiet quest had begun, driven by the keenest mind among the gods. Isis watched the aging deity, her gaze filled with respect and admiration. She admired his grandeur, the sheer majesty of his presence. She respected his wisdom, the depth of his understanding. But her mind was already at work, tirelessly processing information. Her thoughts were already charting a course, a trajectory leading to the ultimate secret. The desert winds whispered ancient tales, carrying echoes of forgotten times across the vast, golden sands. But the greatest secret remained unspoken, hidden deep within the heart of the cosmos. It remained protected, shrouded in layers of divine mystery. Isis knew that this quest would be challenging, fraught with unseen obstacles. It would be dangerous, venturing into the very foundations of divine power. It would require all her skill, every ounce of her magical prowess. It would demand all her cunning, every trick of her brilliant mind. But she was ready, her resolve unwavering. She was determined, her purpose clear. She looked at the vastness of the cosmos, stretching endlessly into the unknown. She saw the intricate dance of the stars, each a tiny beacon of light in the infinite darkness. She felt the pulse of creation, the living energy that flowed through all things. All were manifestations of Ra's power, expressions of his divine will. All stemmed from his essence, flowing from the deepest wellspring of his being. But what was that essence? What was its deepest root, its fundamental origin? What was its fundamental truth, the ultimate reality behind its existence? She believed, with growing certainty, that it was a name, a single word of immense power. A word, a divine utterance that held the key to all creation. The air in her workshop grew still, the arcane energies settling into a quiet hum. The candlelight flickered. Here's the condensed version, aiming for the target reduction. Isis meticulously watched Ra. She studied his routine, his dawn emergence, his journey across the sky, his moments of reflection. She noted his favorite paths, especially where he'd walk the earth's edge, communing with creation. This was her chance. She saw him approach a sun-drenched patch of desert, a spot where he often rested at midday. He would sometimes let a drop of spittle fall, a small thing, but to Isis, everything. These glistening drops held Ra's divine essence. This was her leverage. Isis moved with silent purpose, a shadow. She gathered the dust from that spot, then added the spittle, mixing it with slender fingers. A low hum vibrated, a faint glow emanated. The dust transformed, coalescing into something imbued with potent magic. From this mixture, she fashioned a serpent, born of Ra's essence and woven with Isis's will. Its obsidian scales shimmered, its eyes glowed. Sleek and deceptively slender, it coiled silently, perfectly camouflaged on the desert floor. It lay waiting, an extension of Isis's intent. The sun climbed. Ra continued his majestic journey, contemplating his creation. He approached his usual resting place, anticipating respite. He lowered himself onto the warm sand, his guard down. This was the serpent's cue. The magical serpent struck with incredible speed, a blur of dark motion. Its fangs bit deeply into Ra's ankle. A searing, unknown pain shot through him. He recoiled, crying out in surprise. His mighty roar echoed across the desert, startling creatures. The serpent, its task complete, vanished into the dust. Ra stumbled backward, excruciating pain pulsing through him. It was a burning fire, an icy chill, both at once. His divine energy flickered, his golden aura dimmed. He felt a strange weakness, an alien sensation. He tried to heal himself, but the venom persisted, woven from his own being. His strength faltered. He crumpled to the sand, pain gnawing at his core. His breath came in ragged gasps. His golden skin paled, his eyes dimmed. He tried to rise, but his limbs wouldn't obey. A terrible realization dawned. This was a poison of the spirit, a blight on his divine essence. Ra cried out, no longer a roar, but a desperate, suffering plea. "Oh, my children, a terrible pain afflicts me. It burns within me. It consumes my very being." His strength ebbed, his power failing. He, the mighty Ra, needed succor. The gods heard his cry and rushed to his side. Osiris, Isis, Thoth, Nephthys, Horus. They gathered, faces etched with concern. They had never seen him like this, the sun, the life-giver, now a broken god, writhing in torment. A collective gasp rose. "What troubles you, Father?" Osiris asked, his voice worried. He knelt beside Ra, but even his touch brought no relief. Ra flinched. "I do not know." Ra groaned, pointing feebly to a small, dark, pulsing mark on his ankle, the serpent's bite. Isis observed him, her expression unreadable, but a flicker of triumph in her eyes. Her scheme unfolded perfectly. Masking her feelings, she feigned distress, kneeling beside Ra. "Oh, great Ra," she murmured, "tell us what has happened." She knew, but she needed him to confess his weakness. Ra struggled to speak. "I was walking," he rasped. "A creature bit me. I do not know what it was. It was invisible, unseen." The pain distorted his memory. "It has poisoned me. The venom courses through me. I feel my strength draining. I cannot heal myself." This was the crucial admission. Thoth stepped forward, examining the bite. "This is no ordinary venom," he stated gravely. "It has a magical origin, tied to your very essence." He understood its unique, untreatable composition. Isis spoke then, her voice calm and steady. "Great Ra, tell us your name. Reveal your true, secret name." The other gods were confused, but Isis knew the power of names, the ancient magic. A true name held dominion, essence. This was the key. Ra looked at her, understanding the sacrifice. Revealing his name meant surrendering power, control, vulnerability. He had guarded it for eons, but the pain was unbearable. He was on the brink of death. He was desperate. "My secret name," he whispered hoarsely. "No, Isis, I cannot." He tried to resist, but the venom surged, and he screamed, writhing. He was fading fast. "Only by knowing your true name," Isis insisted, gentle yet firm, "can we truly heal you. Only then can we counter this venom." She knew she had him. The pain was too much. Ra groaned, a sound of utter despair. He knew there was no other way. His pride was shattered. "I will tell you," he finally rasped, "a surrender." A single golden tear escaped, sizzling on the sand. "But you must swear," Ra continued, gaining a flicker of strength. "You must swear to use it wisely. You must swear to use it only to heal." Isis placed her hand over his. "I swear, great Ra," she vowed, her voice clear and solemn. "I swear to use your name only for healing." The other gods bore witness, seeing only compassion. Ra took a deep, shuddering breath. He prepared to speak, to utter the sacred words, to reveal his true identity. The sun dipped slightly. The desert waited. He opened his mouth. The first syllable escaped, vibrating with immense power. It was the dawn of time, the birth of stars. It was Ra. The air shimmered, a faint golden light emanating. He spoke the second syllable, a low, resonant sound, like distant thunder. It was the vastness of space, the darkness before light. It was Ra. The light intensified, swirling into intricate patterns. He spoke the third syllable, a high, clear note, like a crystal bell. It was the song of the stars, the warmth of the sun. It was Ra. The patterns solidified into a swirling vortex of energy. He spoke the fourth syllable, a deep, guttural sound, like a lion's roar. It was the force of creation, the strength of mountains. It was Ra. The vortex pulsed, encompassing all the gods. He spoke the fifth syllable, a soft, almost inaudible sigh. It was the wisdom of ages, the peace of eternity. It was Ra. The vortex settled, coalescing into a radiant sphere above Ra's head. He spoke the sixth syllable, a sharp, decisive sound, like lightning. It was the command of creation, the law of the cosmos. It was Ra. The radiant sphere descended, enveloping Ra in blinding light. Then he spoke the seventh and final syllable, a long, drawn-out hum. It was the totality of his being, the Alpha and Omega. It was Ra. The light flared, then slowly receded back into his form. The air was still. A profound silence hung. The other gods were breathless. They had heard it. They knew Ra's true, secret name. It was the sound of the universe, the essence of all creation. They felt its power, its significance. Isis, too, had heard it. Her eyes glowed with triumph. She had it, the ultimate power, the ultimate control. She, the sun god, cried out. His voice, usually a golden hum, was now a ragged gasp. Ra, the mighty creator, writhed upon his celestial throne. His pain echoed across the heavens. Other gods heard his anguished pleas. They stirred from their peaceful slumber. A ripple of concern spread through the divine realm. Something was terribly wrong. Osiris was first to arrive. His noble face showed deep worry. He saw Ra, once so resplendent, now dim and suffering. Osiris moved closer, his steps heavy with dread. Thoth appeared next. His ibis head tilted thoughtfully. He carried his scribe's palette. Thoth observed Ra's distress with keen, knowing eyes. He knew much of magic and healing. Horus soared in swiftly. His falcon wings beat strong and true. He landed beside his father, Osiris. Horus's gaze was sharp, filled with protective concern for the king of gods. Hathor followed, her cow horns gleaming softly. Her beautiful eyes were wide with compassion. She felt Ra's suffering keenly. Her presence brought a gentle, soothing warmth. More gods gathered. Nephthys, Set, Anubis each appeared. They formed a silent, solemn circle. Their faces reflected fear and confusion. Ra's agony was a terrible sight. "What troubles you, Lord Ra?" Osiris asked gently. His voice was a deep, comforting rumble. He knelt beside the ailing deity. He reached out a hesitant hand. Ra moaned in response. He could not form words. His body burned with an unseen fire. The venom coursed through his divine veins. It stole his strength, his voice. Thoth stepped forward. He consulted ancient texts in his mind. He sought a remedy, a spell. His wisdom was vast, his knowledge profound. But this affliction was new. He chanted softly. Words of power flowed from his lips. They were meant to soothe, to heal. The air shimmered with his magic, but Ra's pain remained. Osiris tried his own magic. He called upon the life-giving waters. He invoked the power of renewal. He poured sacred libations over Ra. The water evaporated instantly. Horus offered his strength. He stood tall, a beacon of might. He extended his divine energy. He tried to infuse Ra with vitality, but Ra only weakened further. Hathor sang a lullaby. Her voice was like honeyed moonlight. It was a song of comfort and peace. Her melodies usually calmed all hearts, but Ra still thrashed. The other gods tried their remedies. Set, with his chaotic power, offered a counterspell. Nephthys, gentle and kind, whispered prayers. Anubis, guardian of mysteries, searched for answers. Nothing worked. Ra's cries grew fainter. His golden skin paled. His eyes, usually brilliant suns, were dim. The divine venom was relentless. It consumed his very essence. Panic began to set in. The gods exchanged worried glances. Their powers were immense. Their knowledge was vast. Yet they were helpless. Ra was fading before their eyes. Then a new presence. A hush fell over the assembly. The air crackled with subtle power. A figure emerged from the shadows. She moved with serene grace. It was Isis. Her presence was striking. She wore a gown of deep blue. Stars seemed to shimmer on its fabric. Her eyes held ancient, knowing wisdom. She approached the distressed gods. Her steps were silent, deliberate. A faint, knowing smile touched her lips. She radiated calm and deep understanding. She observed Ra's suffering. She saw the gods' futile efforts. Her gaze was unblinking, assessing. She understood the nature of his pain. She knew its source. Isis was a mistress of magic. She was cunning and resourceful. Her intellect was unmatched. She possessed secrets none other dared to contemplate. She held a hidden power. She walked directly to Ra. The other gods parted for her. A sense of awe filled the space. Her aura was powerful, yet comforting. She exuded authority. She knelt beside the ailing god. Her touch was feather-light. She placed a hand on his burning brow. A cool sensation spread from her fingers. "O great Ra," she murmured softly. Her voice was like a gentle stream. It was filled with feigned sympathy. Her eyes, though, held a knowing glint. "What terrible ill befalls you?" she asked. Her tone was deeply compassionate. She tilted her head, feigning innocence. She pursed her lips in concern. Ra moaned in response. He tried to speak. Only a choked sound escaped him. The venom had stolen his speech. His power was ebbing fast. "You who illuminates the world," Isis continued. Her voice was sweet and solicitous. "You who brings forth life and light." She paused, her gaze fixed on him. "To see you thus, in such agony." She sighed dramatically. Her hand moved gently over his chest. She felt the fierce heat radiating from him. "It wounds my heart deeply." Her words were smooth, persuasive. She projected an image of profound sorrow. She was the picture of devoted concern. The other gods watched her. Their hopes began to stir. Isis was renowned for her magic. Perhaps she possessed the answer. Perhaps she could save Ra. "Tell me, Lord Ra," she urged softly. Her voice was a hypnotic whisper. "What is this terrible affliction?" Her eyes probed his weakening form. "Where does it pain you most?" she asked. She leaned closer, attentive. Her breath was cool on his face. She needed to confirm her suspicions. Ra shuddered violently. He pointed a trembling finger. He gestured vaguely at his chest, the place where the serpent had bitten him, the source of his torment. Isis nodded slowly. A flicker of triumph crossed her face. It was almost imperceptible. She had confirmed her diagnosis. She knew the poison's origin. "A terrible venom, I perceive," she stated. Her voice was calm and knowing. "A secret poison, perhaps." She paused, letting the words hang. She looked at the other gods. Her gaze was direct and steady. "None of your remedies have worked," she observed. Her tone was gentle, not accusatory. "Your powers are great, indeed." She acknowledged their efforts. "But this malady, it is unique." She shook her head slowly, thoughtfully. "It requires a special touch." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "A knowledge beyond common magic." She looked back at Ra, her eyes intense. "Only I," she said softly. Her words hung in the air. "Only I possess such knowledge." She let the statement resonate. It was a bold claim. The gods exchanged glances, a mixture of hope and skepticism. Isis was powerful, yes, but her methods were often unconventional, sometimes even dangerous. "I can cure you, great Ra," she promised. Her voice was unwavering. "I can draw this venom out." Her eyes met his, full of conviction. Ra looked at her, desperate. His eyes pleaded for relief. He trusted her words. He had no other choice. His life was draining away. "But there is a price," Isis continued. Her voice became serious. "A condition, if you will." Her gaze held a new intensity. The other gods leaned in. Their attention was riveted. What could Isis demand? What could be more precious than Ra's life? They waited breathlessly. "This venom," she explained, Her voice was clear and precise. "It is no ordinary poison." She paused for dramatic effect. "It is deeply entwined with your essence." She spoke gravely. "It has touched your very being." Her forehead furrowed in deep thought. "To remove it," she stated, "I must know your true name." Her words hung in the silent air. The implication was immense. A gasp rippled through the gods. Ra's true name, that was unthinkable. It was the source of his power. It was his deepest secret. Ra recoiled slightly. His dim eyes widened. His true name was sacred. It was hidden from all creation. To reveal, it was to surrender power. Isis watched him closely. She saw his hesitation, his fear. She knew this was her moment, her ultimate leverage. "Without your true name," she pressed. Her voice was firm but gentle. "I cannot sever this bond." She gestured to his writhing form. "The venom will consume you." Her words were a stark warning. "You will fade into nothingness." She painted a grim picture. "Your light will extinguish." She spoke with solemnity. "The world will plunge into darkness." Her gaze was unblinking. Ra struggled to protest. He tried to shake his head, but his body betrayed him. His strength was gone. His will was weakening. Isis remained unyielding. Her expression was serene. She offered the only path to salvation, but it came at a terrible cost. "Give me your name, Ra," she urged. Her voice was a soft caress. "And I will save you." Her promise was clear. The heat from Ra's body intensified. His pain was unbearable. He was trapped in a terrible dilemma. Life or ultimate power. He looked around at the other gods. Their faces were etched with worry. They could not help him. They could only watch. He looked at Isis. Her eyes held understanding. A flicker of something else, too. Perhaps triumph. Perhaps a hint of cunning. He knew her reputation, her ambition, her mastery of magic. She was the only one, the only hope. Ra let out a long, shuddering breath. His body sagged. He was defeated. The pain had broken him. He began to speak. His voice was a faint whisper. It was almost inaudible. The gods strained to hear. Isis leaned in closer still. Her ear almost touched his lips. She focused all her senses. She waited patiently. Ra uttered a sound, a deep, ancient vibration. It was not a word. It was a pure, resonant tone. Then another, and another. He was speaking his true name, not in human words, but in divine essence. Isis listened intently. Her eyes closed in concentration. She absorbed each sacred sound. She memorized every vibration. The sounds filled the sacred space. They vibrated through the air. They held immense power. They were the very fabric of creation. The other gods felt it. A profound resonance. A glimpse into the divine heart. They understood the magnitude of Ra's sacrifice. Isis opened her eyes. A deep satisfaction settled within her. She possessed Ra's true name, the ultimate secret, the ultimate power. Now Great Ra, she declared. Her voice was strong and clear. I shall heal you. Her promise was now a command. She began her incantation. Words of power flowed from her lips. They were ancient, potent spells. They wove a complex net of magic. She called upon the cosmos. She invoked the primordial forces. She channeled the very essence of life. Her magic hummed with power. She placed both hands on Ra. Her touch was now firm. A cool sensation spread from her palms. It countered the burning venom. The air around them shimmered. Golden light pulsed from her hands. It enveloped Ra's suffering form. The magic began its work. The venom recoiled. It struggled against the magic. It tried to cling to Ra's essence. But Isis's will was stronger. She pulled the poison out. Slowly, painstakingly. It emerged as a dark, viscous cloud. It swirled above Ra's body. The pain subsided. Ra's body relaxed. His breathing became steady. The color returned to his skin. His eyes flickered open. The dark cloud coalesced. It formed a small, inert orb. Isis held it in her hand. It was the concentrated venom. She looked at Ra. He was weak but recovering. His eyes, though still dim, held gratitude. He had been saved. Isis smiled faintly. Her triumph was complete. She had achieved her goal. She now held the greatest power. She held Ra's true name. His very being was now hers. The sun god was indebted. The universe was forever changed. The desert sun beat down. Its relentless heat shimmered. Ra lay groaning. His pain was immense. It pulsed through his divine form. Isis watched him. Her gaze was steady. It held no pity, only purpose. She knelt beside him. Her voice was soft. It carried a strange resonance. Great Ra, she began. Her words were slow. They were carefully chosen. The serpent's venom, it is no ordinary poison. She paused then. Her eyes met his. Ra's golden skin was now tinged green. A sickly hue spread. It marred his radiance. He tried to speak. A choked gasp escaped him. This venom, Isis continued. It is woven with dark magic. It seeks your very essence. She gestured faintly. Her slender fingers moved. It binds itself to your being. Ra's struggle intensified. His breath hitched. He clawed at the sand. His pain was unbearable. It consumed him utterly. To heal you, Isis stated. Her voice remained calm. It was unwavering. My magic requires a deeper connection. She leaned closer. Her expression was grave. Ra looked at her. His eyes were glazed. They were filled with agony. He could barely focus. His divine mind reeled. I need to know you, Isis explained. Her words were gentle. Yet they held iron resolve. Not as the sun god, not as the creator. Ra's body convulsed. A spasm racked him. The venom churned within. It burned like 1,000 suns. He writhed in torment. I need to know your deepest self, she continued. Your true, secret essence. Her voice dropped to a whisper. It was almost a sigh. Your true name, Ra. A tremor ran through Ra, not from the poison, but from a sudden dread. The mention of his name, it struck him cold. His secret name. He knew its power. He guarded it fiercely. It was his ultimate defense. It was his very being. To surrender it, unthinkable. Isis observed him. She saw his resistance. She understood his fear. She continued speaking. Her tone was persuasive. Only with this knowledge, she insisted. Can I unravel the magic? Can I counteract the venom? She extended a hand. It hovered near him. Ra groaned again. His pain spiked. It was a searing fire. It consumed his divinity. He felt his power wane. He remembered the serpent, the sudden bite, the searing pain, the fear that followed. Now the fear was different. It was cold. It was the fear of exposure, the fear of vulnerability, the fear of losing control. His secret name, it was his sovereignty. Isis waited patiently. She knew her power. She knew his weakness. She held the key. He held the lock. The venom spreads, she warned softly. It corrupts your divine blood. It dims your golden light. Her words were a chilling prophecy. Ra tried to protest. His voice was hoarse. It was barely a whisper. No, never. He shook his head weakly. Your pain will only grow, Isis stated. Her voice was firm. It offered no compromise. Until you yield, she watched him closely. The desert wind stirred. It carried fine sand. It swirled around them. The silence stretched. It was heavy with unspoken words. Ra closed his eyes. He imagined his realm, the vast cosmos, the bustling earth, his temples, his worshippers, his supreme authority. All rested on his name, his true name, to speak it aloud to another. It was an act of surrender, an ultimate abdication. He felt the venom. It crawled through his veins. It reached his heart. It squeezed his divine breath. He gasped for air. Isis's presence was calm. It was unwavering. She was a pillar of resolve. Her gaze was steady. It held him captive. Think of your people, she urged softly. Think of your creation. Will you let it wither? Will you let it fade? Ra's mind rebelled. His pride swelled. His ancient wisdom cried out. He was Ra, the sun god, the self-created. He had faced countless foes. He had overcome all challenges. But this was different. This was insidious. This was internal. The venom was a torment. It was a relentless fire. It burned away his will. It chipped at his resolve. He felt himself weakening. Isis knew this. She understood the mind. She understood the spirit. She knew the breaking point. She waited for it. The life force ebbs, she observed. Her voice was low. It was almost mournful. Your divine energy diminishes. Ra felt it too, a chilling sensation, his strength draining away, his golden aura flickering. The world seemed to darken. He thought of his power, the power to command, the power to create, the power to sustain, all tied to his secret name. If Isis knew it, what then? Would she control him? Would she usurp his throne? Would she wield his power? The thought terrified him, but the pain, it was relentless. It was a monstrous entity. It gnawed at his very being. It consumed his thoughts. He opened his eyes. They were clouded. They were filled with despair. He looked at Isis. Her face was impassive. "There is no other way," she said. Her voice was a balm. Yet it was firm. "My magic needs this." She waited. Ra's agony intensified. He cried out, a raw, guttural sound. It echoed across the silent desert. He thrashed weakly. His golden skin shimmered, but the sickness remained. The green tinge deepened. His divine form was failing. Isis watched. Her patience was infinite. Her purpose was clear. She held all the cards. He had none left. He remembered the tales of gods losing power, of names being stolen, of ultimate vulnerability. He had always been above it. Now he was not. He was humbled. He was broken. He was desperate. The pain was too great. It was a tyrant. "Your name, Ra," Isis prompted again. Her voice was gentle. It was coaxing. "Whisper it to me." She knelt closer. Ra's breathing was shallow. Each breath was a struggle. His chest heaved. His divine heart pounded. It felt like a drum. He envisioned the consequences. The loss of full authority, the shared power, the eternal burden, the vulnerability. But he also envisioned death. The end of his reign, the cessation of existence, the fading into nothingness. That was worse. Isis's eyes were fixed on him. They were unwavering. They held a deep understanding. She knew his struggle. She saw his fear. "It is a small price," she murmured, "for eternal life, for continued reign." Her words were a siren's song. Ra bit his lip, a divine lip. No blood flowed, but the pain was real. His inner turmoil raged. He was the creator. He was the sun. He was life itself. To perish, it was anathema. It was impossible. Yet here he was, on the brink, brought low by a serpent, held captive by a witch, forced to surrender. He thought of his ancestors, of the primordial void, of his self-creation, the act of becoming, the act of being, all tied to his name, the secret, unutterable name, the name that held his essence, the name that was his power. Isis's hand reached out. It touched his forehead. Her touch was cool. It was a momentary relief, a fleeting comfort. "The choice is yours, Ra," she said. Her voice was soft. It was filled with compassion. Life or oblivion. Ra's body spasmed again. A violent tremor. His divine form contorted. The venom raged within him. It consumed his strength. He gasped for air. His eyes rolled back. He was fading. He was dying. The realization struck him. It was stark. It was absolute. He had to surrender. There was no other way. His pride was immense, but his life was more so. His existence. He opened his eyes. They were dim. They were filled with tears, divine tears. They traced paths on his golden cheeks. Isis waited. Her face was serene. Her resolve was absolute. She knew he was broken. She knew he would yield. "My name," Ra whispered. His voice was raw. It was barely audible. It was filled with pain. It was filled with defeat. Isis leaned closer. Her ear was near his mouth. She held her breath. The moment was sacred. It was profound. "Speak it, Ra," she urged. Her voice was a gentle push. It was a quiet command. "Let it flow." Ra struggled for breath. The venom tightened its grip. He felt the darkness closing in. The end was near. His secret name. It had been his secret, his protected truth, his ultimate power. Now it would be shared. He closed his eyes again. He gathered his last strength. He prepared for the surrender, the ultimate capitulation. The desert wind howled. It seemed to mourn. It seemed to whisper. It seemed to carry his sorrow. Isis remained still. She was a statue. She was a silent witness. She waited for the revelation, the ultimate prize. Ra's lips trembled. He formed the words, the sacred syllables, the ancient sounds, the true name of Ra. He opened his mouth. A faint murmur escaped. It was barely a breath. It was almost lost. It was almost gone. Isis strained to hear. Her senses were sharp. Her magic pulsed. She was ready. She was waiting. He spoke it. The secret name. The name of power. The name of being. The name of Ra. It was whispered. It was given. It was received. The air shimmered. A subtle shift. A momentous change. The balance shifted. Isis absorbed it. The sound, the essence, the power. It flowed into her. It became part of her. A faint smile touched her lips. It was almost imperceptible. It was a flicker of triumph, a moment of victory. Ra's body went limp. He had spoken. He had surrendered. The pain still raged, but the secret was out. Isis's eyes glowed. A faint light, a magical luminescence. She had what she needed, the ultimate key. The price had been paid, the knowledge gained, the power acquired. The healing could now begin. The magic could now flow. Ra lay still. His breath was shallow, his life force dimmed. He was at her mercy. He was utterly vulnerable. Isis rose slowly. Her movements were graceful. Her posture was regal. She held the secret. She held his fate. The desert stretched around them, silent and vast, witness to the moment, witness to the surrender, witness to the change. The sun began to set. Its golden rays softened. They painted the sky, a fiery farewell, a fading glory. Ra's pain continued. It was a cruel reminder of the venom's hold, of his lost secret, of his new vulnerability. Isis looked at him. Her gaze was different now. It held power. It held knowledge. It held control. She knelt again, her hands extended. They hovered over him. Her magic stirred. It began to awaken. The air around them hummed. A low vibration, a subtle energy. The healing would commence. The magic would flow. But the world had changed. Ra's world, his power, his essence. It was now shared. It was now known. The secret was out. The price was paid. The journey continued. Into the night. Into uncertainty. Into a new dawn. The serpent's venom coursed. It burned through Ra's ancient veins. His golden skin, usually radiant, now flickered with a sickly pallor. A groan, deep and guttural, escaped his lips. It echoed through the silent, sun-drenched halls. Isis watched him. Her eyes, cool and unwavering, held no pity. She stood patiently. Her slender form was silhouetted against the distant horizon. The desert winds whispered. They carried the scent of dry earth and timelessness. "Tell me your name, great Ra," she urged softly. Her voice was like a lullaby. Yet it carried an undeniable edge. "Unburden yourself. Release this suffering." Her words were a balm, but they were also a hook. Ra writhed on his throne. The pain was a living thing. It gnawed at his very essence. His divine power, usually limitless, seemed to wane. He clutched his chest. His breath came in ragged gasps. "I am Khepri," he rasped. His voice was hoarse. "I am the scarab beetle. I am the dawn. I push the sun across the sky." He offered this name. It was a powerful name. It was known to all. Isis merely tilted her head. A faint, knowing smile touched her lips. "That is a name indeed," she acknowledged. Her tone was dismissive. "But it is a name known to every Fellahin. Every child in the Delta knows Khepri. It is not the name I seek." Ra's eyes, usually brilliant as the midday sun, now dulled. A fresh wave of agony washed over him. He clenched his fists. His knuckles turned white. The venom intensified its cruel grip. "I am Ra," he tried again. His voice was weaker now. "I am the sun at its zenith. I illuminate the world. I bring warmth and life to all creation." He spoke of his most common form. He spoke of his most visible aspect. Isis shook her head gently. Her gaze remained steady. "Yes, you are Ra," she agreed. Her voice was still soft. "The very name of the sun, the great god of noon. But this, too, is common knowledge. It is shouted in the marketplaces. It is whispered in the temples. It is not your true, secret name." The air grew heavy. The sun god's suffering permeated the very atmosphere. The light around him dimmed perceptibly. His golden aura, usually so vibrant, now flickered like an expiring flame. He twisted on his throne. His strong body convulsed. "I am autumn," he gasped. His tongue felt thick. "I am the primeval one. I rose from the waters of none. I created myself. I brought forth all things from nothingness." He offered the name of his origin. He offered the name of his self-creation. Isis sighed, a delicate, almost imperceptible sigh. "Autumn indeed," she murmured, her eyelids lowered slightly. The Ancient One, the first being, this, too, is written in the sacred texts. It is chanted by the priests. It is known to all who seek wisdom. It is not the name of your true power. It is not the name that binds you. Ra's head lolled back. Sweat beaded on his brow. The venom was relentless. It spread through him like a wildfire. His divine essence felt as if it were being torn asunder. He could feel his strength ebbing away. His immortality seemed fragile. He tried to gather his thoughts. His mind, usually sharp and clear, was now clouded. The pain was a shroud. It muffled his divine intellect. He knew he was losing. He knew he was weakening. "I am Horekti," he whispered. His voice was barely audible. "I am Horus of the two horizons. I am the rising and setting sun. I traverse the sky from dawn to dusk." He offered another aspect. He offered another manifestation. Isis remained unmoving. Her composure was absolute. "Horekti," she repeated. Her voice was a soft echo. "The journeyer, the eternal traveler. A beautiful name, yes, but still a public name. A name known to all who gaze upon the sky. It is not the one I seek." Ra's body trembled. His mighty frame, which had stood since the beginning of time, now quivered uncontrollably. His eyes rolled back. The world spun around him. The agony was unbearable. It was a torment beyond any mortal comprehension. He felt the venom reaching his heart. It was a cold, searing fire. It threatened to extinguish his divine spark. He knew he had no more public names left. He had offered all the names that were known. He had offered all the names that were recorded. A primal fear seized him. The fear of oblivion. The fear of dissolution. He, the great Ra, was facing utter defeat. He was facing the very end of his existence. He was facing the loss of his power. He looked at Isis. Her face was serene. Her eyes were piercing. She held his fate in her hands. She held the antidote. She held the key to his survival, but she would not release him, not until he yielded. "The pain, Isis," he groaned. His voice was a mere wheeze. "It consumes me. I cannot bear it. It is too much." He pleaded now. He, the mighty creator, was reduced to pleading. Isis stepped closer. Her shadow fell upon him. It offered no comfort. "Then speak, great Ra," she urged. Her voice was almost a whisper. "Speak the name, the one name, the name that holds your very being, the name known only to yourself." Ra's breath hitched. A fresh wave of agony coursed through him. He felt his divine will crumbling. His resistance was shattered. He could no longer fight. He could no longer deny. His lips parted. He tried to speak, but no sound emerged. The effort was too great. The pain was too intense. He felt his consciousness fading. He felt the darkness encroaching. Isis knelt beside him. Her hand, cool and gentle, touched his fevered brow. "Whisper it, Ra," she coaxed. Her voice was like the softest breeze. "Whisper it into my ear. Let it be a secret between us, a bond of power. He turned his head slowly. His eyes, clouded with suffering, met hers. He saw no triumph there, only a quiet determination, only an unwavering resolve. He knew she had won. With the last vestiges of his strength, Ra leaned in. His golden hair, usually vibrant, was now matted with sweat. His divine breath, usually life-giving, was now shallow and ragged. He brought his lips close to Isis's ear. A single, profound word escaped him. A word known only to himself. A word held sacred since the dawn of creation. It was the essence of his being. It was the source of his power. It was his true, secret name. The word was not spoken aloud. It was not a sound that could be heard by mortal ears. It was a vibration. It was a resonance. It was a pure, unadulterated emanation of his divine self. Isis felt it. She felt the subtle shift. A surge of energy flowed into her. A profound understanding settled within her mind. The universe seemed to hum with new knowledge. The very fabric of reality seemed to shimmer. The power of Ra, the very essence of his being, now resided within her. Not completely, not fully, but enough to weave her magic, enough to command the venom, enough to heal him. A faint smile touched Isis's lips. It was a smile of quiet victory, a smile of profound knowledge. She had achieved her goal. She had gained the ultimate power. She had learned the secret name. Ra exhaled, a long, shuddering breath. The dark clouds of pain began to recede. The fiery venom began to cool. He felt a profound sense of release. A strange, unsettling calm settled over him. He looked at Isis. His eyes, though still weary, held a new awareness. He knew what he had done. He knew what he had given away. The balance had shifted. The ancient order had changed. Isis rose gracefully. Her posture was regal. Her eyes held an unreadable depth. She was no longer merely the grieving mother. She was now something more. She was the mistress of magic. She was the wielder of true power. The sun, which had dimmed during Ra's suffering, now began to shine brighter. Its golden rays pierced through the hall. They illuminated the scene. They cast long, dancing shadows. Ra felt the venom draining from his body. It was a slow, steady tide. The pain subsided. The intense burning faded. He could feel his divine strength returning. But it was different now. It was diminished. He looked at Isis again. Her presence seemed to fill the room. Her aura, usually contained, now expanded. It intertwined with his own. It was a subtle, almost imperceptible shift. But it was there. Isis extended her hand. Her touch was light. It was gentle. She offered him a small, golden cup. It shimmered with a pale, ethereal glow. The antidote. The cure. Ra took the cup. His hand trembled slightly. He drank the contents. It tasted like pure light. It tasted like cool, flowing water. It tasted like life itself. The remaining traces of venom vanished. The last remnants of pain dissolved. He felt whole again. He felt restored. But the memory of his vulnerability lingered. The memory of his defeat remained. He looked around the hall. The air was still. The silence was profound. The world seemed to hold its breath. It was as if the universe itself acknowledged the monumental shift. Isis stood beside him. Her gaze was distant. Her expression was serene. She had achieved what no other god had ever achieved. She had gained power over the Creator himself. Ra knew he was no longer absolute. His power was no longer his alone. A part of it, the most vital part, now resided with Isis. She had become his equal, perhaps even his superior. He closed his eyes. The weight of his ancient existence pressed down upon him. He had ruled unchallenged for eons. He had been the supreme being. Now, a new era had begun. Isis watched him. Her eyes, filled with a quiet intensity, absorbed every detail. She had outsmarted the wisest. She had humbled the greatest. She had seized control of destiny. The story would be told. The tale would be whispered through the ages. The story of Ra's secret name. The story of Isis's cunning. The story of the shift in power. The sun god, once omnipotent, now carried a new burden. The burden of shared power. The burden of vulnerability. The burden of a secret revealed. Isis turned. She walked away slowly. Her steps were light. Her form was graceful. She left Ra to contemplate his new reality. She left him to grapple with his altered status. The desert wind stirred. It carried the faint scent of magic. It carried the whisper of ancient secrets. The world continued its eternal dance. But the dance had a new rhythm. Ra remained on his throne. His golden skin glowed faintly. His eyes were open. But he saw more than the present. He saw the future. He saw the consequences of his revelation. The knowledge of his secret name was out. It was no longer his alone. It was shared. It was a bond. It was a chain. It was a testament to Isis's unwavering will. He felt the subtle presence of her newfound power. It was like a faint echo within his own being. A constant reminder. A silent acknowledgement. The true nature of their relationship had changed forever. The sun dipped lower. Its golden light softened. The shadows lengthened. The day drew to a close, and with it, an era of unchallenged divine authority. Ra sighed, a long, weary sigh. The secret had been revealed. The price had been paid. The world would never be the same, and neither would he. He looked out at the vast, unchanging desert. It stretched to the horizon, timeless, silent, witness to the great unfolding of divine power, witness to the revelation of a name. The stars began to appear, one by one, twinkling in the darkening sky, each a silent sentinel, each a distant observer, each holding its own ancient secrets. Ra closed his eyes again. He embraced the quiet solitude. He embraced the profound shift. He embraced the new reality. His secret name was no longer his alone. It belonged to Isis now, and with it, a part of himself. "Ah, yes," Isis whispered. Her voice, a silken thread, wove through the twilight. "That is the name." A knowing smile touched her lips. It was a soft, secret smile. The name, Ra's true, hidden name, now belonged to her. Power, an unseen current, surged through her veins. It was a gentle, humming warmth. This was the moment she had awaited. She knelt beside the sun god. His golden body still shimmered, but the venom's shadow still clung to him. His breath came in shallow gasps. His eyes, once blazing suns, were dim. She saw his suffering clearly. Yet, a quiet resolve filled her. Isis extended her hands. Her fingers, long and slender, hovered over Ra's chest. A soft, iridescent glow emanated from her palms. It was the light of pure magic. This was no ordinary light. It pulsed with ancient power. It spoke of deep secrets. She began to chant. Her words were not loud. They were soft, melodious incantations. Each syllable was carefully chosen. They were woven from starlight and moonlight. They echoed truths from forgotten ages. The air around them began to hum. The glow intensified. It enveloped Ra completely. It was a shimmering cocoon of light. The venom, a dark, coiling serpent, began to stir. It writhed within Ra's magnificent form. It felt the pull of her magic. It recognized its master. Isis focused her will. She pictured the venom. She saw its dark tendrils. They were embedded deep within Ra's essence. She commanded them to retreat. She summoned them forth. Her power was absolute. Her intent was clear. Slowly, agonizingly, the darkness began to recede. It was like smoke vanishing. It drew back from Ra's limbs. It pulled away from his chest. It withdrew from his heart. A faint, silvery mist began to rise. It spiraled from his body. The mist coalesced. It formed a dark, shimmering orb. It pulsed with malevolent energy. This was the venom. This was the very essence of suffering. Isis held it captive. She held it firmly in her grasp. Ra's gasps lessened. His breathing deepened. A faint flush returned to his skin. The golden sheen brightened. His eyes fluttered. They slowly opened. The sun's fire returned to them. It blazed once more. He looked at Isis. His gaze was steady. He saw her unwavering strength. He saw her immense power. He saw the orb of darkness. It floated between her palms. He knew what it was. He knew what she had done. A profound realization washed over him. He was healed. The torment was gone. The agony had vanished. But something else had changed. A part of him, an essential part, was no longer his alone. His secret name. He felt a strange vulnerability. It was a sensation he rarely knew. He, Ra, the creator, the all-powerful, was exposed. His deepest secret was revealed. It lay in the hands of another. This was a new feeling. Isis smiled again. It was a knowing smile. She saw the understanding in his eyes. She saw the dawning realization. She saw the shift in his being. Her power had grown. Her influence had expanded. She gently closed her hands. The orb of venom shimmered. It compressed into a pinprick of light. Then, with a soft asterisk pop asterisk, it vanished. It was gone forever. The world was cleansed. Ra was whole. He sat up slowly. His movements were fluid. His strength had returned. He felt the familiar surge of divine energy. It coursed through his body. He was himself again. Yet, not entirely. The air around them hummed with new energy. It was a tangible presence. It was the resonance of power. It was the echo of a secret. It was the whisper of change. The balance had shifted. Isis stood. Her posture was regal. Her eyes, dark and luminous, met his. There was no triumph in her gaze, only quiet confidence, only serene power. She had achieved her goal. She had gained knowledge. "You are healed, great Ra," she said. Her voice was calm. It was rich with compassion. "The poison is gone." Ra nodded slowly. He looked out at the vast desert. The sun, his own creation, began its slow ascent. It cast long shadows. It painted the dunes in hues of gold and amber. The world was awakening. He felt the desert's warmth. He felt the life within it. He felt the familiar rhythm of creation. All was as it should be, except for this new truth, this new shared secret. "Yes," he rumbled. His voice, once weakened, was strong again. It was deep and resonant. It echoed across the sands. "I am healed." He paused. His gaze lingered on Isis. She stood bathed in the rising sun. A faint halo surrounded her. It was a testament to her power. It was a symbol of her achievement. "And you, Isis," he continued. His tone was measured. It held a trace of awe. "You have proven your might." Isis inclined her head. It was a gesture of respect, but also of quiet victory. She had faced the greatest challenge. She had overcome the impossible. She had revealed the hidden. The other gods began to gather. They had watched from afar. They had witnessed the struggle. They had seen Ra's agony. They had seen Isis's courage. They approached with reverence. Horus, her son, came first. His eyes, bright as falcons, shone with pride. He embraced his mother warmly. "Mother," he whispered, "you are truly magnificent." Isis smiled at him. Her heart swelled with love. She had done this for him. She had done this for their lineage. She had secured their future. Nephthys, her sister, approached next. Her face was serene. Her gaze was filled with admiration. "Isis," she murmured, "your wisdom knows no bounds." The other gods followed. Thoth, the god of wisdom, nodded sagely. He understood the implications. He recognized the shift. Osiris, her husband, looked at her with renewed devotion. He saw his powerful queen. Ra observed them all. He saw the respect in their eyes. He saw the admiration. He saw the new reverence for Isis. It was a subtle change, yet it was undeniable. He felt the weight of his decision. He had surrendered his name. He had given away a piece of his essence, but it had saved him. It had cured him. It had preserved his reign. He knew deep within his being that this act would resonate. It would echo through the ages. It would reshape the pantheon. It would alter the divine order. Isis, once a goddess of magic and motherhood, had ascended. She was now a force to be reckoned with. Her influence was vast. Her power was undeniable. Her wisdom was profound. The sun climbed higher. It illuminated the ancient sands. It cast a golden glow over everything. The air was filled with a sense of peace. The crisis had passed. Ra stood. He stretched his mighty limbs. He felt the vibrant health within him. The memory of the venom was fading. Only the knowledge remained, the knowledge of his name. He looked at Isis again. Her gaze was steady. It was calm and unwavering. There was a new equality between them, a silent understanding, a shared secret. He extended a hand. It was a gesture of acknowledgement. It was a sign of respect. Isis, he said. His voice was strong. It carried across the desert. You have earned your place. Isis took his hand. Her touch was gentle. It was firm. It was the touch of a sovereign. It was the touch of a peer. The balance of power had shifted. It was a new dawn. The desert wind stirred. It carried the scent of sand and distant water. It whispered through the palms. It sang a new song, a song of change, a song of power. Ra turned to the assembled gods. His presence was commanding. His aura was magnificent. He was Ra, the sun god. He was the creator. He was the king. Let it be known, he boomed. His voice vibrated with authority. Isis has proven her unparalleled might. The gods bowed their heads. They acknowledged his decree. They recognized her achievement. The air crackled with newfound respect for her. It was a palpable force. Isis felt the surge of power. It flowed through her. It was not just the power of the name. It was the power of recognition. It was the power of acceptance. It was the power of her own being. She had always been powerful, but now it was undeniable. It was acknowledged. It was celebrated. She had stepped into her full potential. She had claimed her destiny. The desert stretched out before them. It was vast and timeless. It held ancient secrets. It witnessed new beginnings. The sun shone down. It bathed the world in light. Ra looked out at his creation. He saw the life teeming within it. He felt the pulse of existence. He was grateful to be whole. He was grateful to be well. But the vulnerability lingered. It was a faint echo. It was a new awareness. He had depended on another. He had relied on her strength. He had shared his deepest truth. Isis stood beside him. She was a pillar of strength. She was a beacon of wisdom. She was the embodiment of magic. She was a queen among gods. Their story, once a tale of conflict, had transformed. It was now a narrative of balance. It was a story of shared power. It was a legend of transformation. The stars began to emerge. They twinkled in the deepening sky. They bore witness to the events. They held the memories of ages. They saw the shifting dynamics. The desert grew still. A profound peace settled over it. The work was done. The healing was complete. The truth was revealed. Isis felt a deep contentment. Her journey had been long. Her path had been arduous, but it had led her here, to this moment of triumph, to this place of power. She had secured the future. She had strengthened their lineage. She had ensured her son's legacy. She had done it all with wisdom, with courage, with magic. Ra turned to her again. A flicker of something passed through his eyes. It was respect. It was acceptance. Perhaps even a touch of admiration. Isis, he said. His voice was soft now. It was filled with a new understanding. Thank you. Isis simply nodded. Her gaze was gentle. It was knowing. She understood the weight of his words. She understood the depth of his gratitude. She understood the cost. The sun dipped below the horizon. It painted the sky in fiery hues. It marked the end of a day. It heralded the beginning of a new era. The gods dispersed slowly. They carried the story with them. They carried the knowledge. They carried the changed perception of Isis. She was no longer just a goddess. She was a force. Isis remained, standing beside Ra. The desert wind whispered around them. It carried the scent of night-blooming jasmine. It sang a lullaby. Ra looked at the fading light. He felt the coolness of the approaching night. He felt the steady rhythm of his own heart. He was alive. He was well. And Isis, his healer, his equal, stood beside him. Her power was evident. Her influence was clear. The secret name, once his alone, was now theirs. It was a shared trust. It was a new bond. The moon began its ascent. It cast a silver glow over the sands. It illuminated the ancient land. It revealed the quiet majesty of the night. Isis closed her eyes for a moment. She savored the feeling of accomplishment, the feeling of strength, the feeling of peace. She had faced the greatest challenge. She had triumphed. She had unlocked the universe's secret. She had healed the sun god. She had secured her place. The desert settled into slumber. The stars shone brightly. They watched over the world. They witnessed the profound shift. They celebrated the new balance. Ra, the mighty sun god, rested. His long ordeal was over. His strength had returned. His reign continued, but with a new awareness, a new humility. Isis, the wise and powerful goddess, stood vigilant. Her magic had prevailed. Her will had triumphed. Her influence had grown immeasurably. The night deepened. A gentle breeze swept across the dunes. It carried the whispers of ancient tales. It sang of power It sang of names. It sang of destiny. And in the silence, a new chapter began. A chapter of shared secrets. A chapter of evolving power. A chapter for the ages. All was well. All was at peace. The desert wind, once a gentle sigh, now hummed with a new energy. Isis stood tall, her form shimmered faintly. A profound stillness settled upon the land. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. Her eyes, dark as the deepest night, now held a spark. It was a spark of ancient wisdom. It was a flicker of untold power. The very ground beneath her feet felt different. It vibrated with a subtle hum. Ra, the great god, watched her. His golden aura seemed to dim just a fraction. A flicker of something, perhaps regret, perhaps awe, crossed his radiant face. He had given away a part of himself. He had given away his very essence. With a soft, almost imperceptible gesture, Isis extended her hand. A single, withered desert bloom lay nearby. It was brown and brittle. It was clinging to life. As her fingers neared it, a vibrant emerald glow emanated. It pulsed with a gentle rhythm. The glow enveloped the dying plant. It bathed it in a soft, verdant light. Slowly, miraculously, the petals unfurled. They were a brilliant scarlet. They were edged with gold. The stem straightened. It became firm and green. The blossom stood tall. It was more beautiful than any flower it had ever been. A gasp rippled through the gathered deities. They had witnessed countless wonders. They had seen miracles. But this was different. This was not a gift from Ra. This was a creation. Horus, ever vigilant, straightened. His hawk eyes widened. He had always known his mother was powerful. He had always revered her. But this new power, it was beyond his comprehension. It was truly divine. Thoth, the wise ibis-headed god, scribbled furiously. His stylus scratched across a papyrus scroll. He recorded every detail. His mind raced. He tried to categorize this new magic. It defied all his understanding. Hathor, with her cow-horned crown, clutched her ankh. Her usually serene expression was replaced. It was replaced with a mixture of wonder and unease. Isis had always been revered, but now she was something more. Isis smiled. It was a knowing smile. It held no malice. It held only quiet confidence. She had touched the very essence of life. She had commanded its renewal. This was but a small demonstration. She turned her gaze towards a distant dune. The sand shimmered under the relentless sun. With another gentle gesture, a cool breeze swept across the desert. It carried the scent of lotus blossoms. It was an impossible scent. The parched earth drank deeply. Tiny green shoots began to emerge. They pushed through the golden sand. A small oasis began to form. It spread outwards. It grew with astonishing speed. Palm trees, laden with sweet dates, sprang forth. Their fronds rustled softly. A crystal-clear pool of water emerged. It shimmered invitingly. Fish, their scales glinting, darted within its depths. The gods watched in stunned silence. They had seen Ra create the world. They had seen him bring forth life. But Isis, she had reshaped the land. She had commanded nature itself. Seth, the volatile god of chaos, shifted uneasily. His red eyes narrowed. He had always scorned Isis. He had seen her as merely clever. Now, a cold dread began to creep. It settled in his heart. He had once challenged Ra's authority. He had always sought power. But this power, it was different. It was subtle. It was pervasive. It was something he could not fight. Isis's voice, usually soft and melodious, now carried a new resonance. It was like the gentle murmur of a river. It was like the deep hum of the earth. It resonated with the very fabric of existence. The desert, she spoke, her voice clear, shall yield to my will. The waters shall flow. The earth shall bloom. Her words were not a proclamation. They were a declaration of truth. A shiver ran through the assembly. It was not a shiver of fear. It was a shiver of understanding. They had witnessed the dawn of a new era. They had seen the rise of a new power. Ra watched her. He had given her his name. He had given her his essence. He had known the consequences. Yet, seeing it unfold, it was still a profound experience. He felt a subtle shift within himself. A part of his burden had been lifted. A part of his immense responsibility. He was still the supreme being. He was still the sun god. But he was no longer alone. Isis, with her newfound mastery, was now a force. She was a force to be reckoned with. She was a partner. She was an equal. The other gods began to approach her. Their expressions were a mix of awe and respect. They bowed their heads. It was a gesture they usually reserved for Ra. Osiris, her beloved husband, stood beside her. His gentle smile was filled with pride. He had always believed in her. He had always known her potential. Now, the world saw it too. Nephthys, her sister, knelt before her. Her eyes glistened with tears. She had always admired Isis. She had always loved her. Now, her admiration was boundless. Mistress of magic, Thoth proclaimed, his voice filled with reverence. You command the very elements. You weave the fabric of reality. He dipped his head lower. He offered his profound respect. The title resonated through the air. It solidified her new status. Isis, mistress of magic. It was a name that would echo through ages. It was a name that would inspire awe. From that day forward, her name was invoked. It was invoked alongside Ra's. It was spoken with equal reverence. Her power was acknowledged. Her wisdom was sought. The balance had subtly shifted. Ra remained the sun. He remained the creator. But Isis, she was the weaver. She was the shaper. She was the guardian of the hidden paths. Her magic was not like Ra's raw power. It was not like Seth's destructive chaos. It was subtle. It was intricate. It was deeply connected to the very essence of life. She could whisper to the wind. She could command the rivers. She could coax life from barren lands. Her touch brought forth beauty. Her will brought forth harmony. The gods, once accustomed to Ra's singular authority, now looked to Isis. They sought her counsel. They sought her intervention. Her wisdom was unmatched. Her judgment was clear. Even the fiercest of deities, like Sekhmet, the lioness goddess, approached her with deference. Sekhmet, usually prone to destructive rage, found calm in Isis's presence. Her anger seemed to lessen. Isis understood the intricate dance of the cosmos. She understood the delicate balance. She understood the forces that governed both life and death. Her knowledge was vast. It was profound. She became the protector of the weak. She became the healer of the sick. She became the champion of justice. Her compassion was boundless. Her strength was unwavering. The people of Egypt, hearing tales of her wonders, worshipped her. They built temples in her honor. They offered sacrifices. They prayed for her guidance. Her influence grew. Mothers invoked her name during childbirth. They sought her protection. Farmers prayed to her for fertile lands. They sought her blessings. Sailors sought her guidance. They prayed for safe passage. Her cult spread throughout the land. It extended beyond Egypt's borders. Her name became synonymous with magic. It became synonymous with wisdom. It became synonymous with divine power. Ra, from his celestial barge, observed it all. A quiet satisfaction settled within him. He had made the right choice. He had ensured the continuation of order. He had secured the universe's future. He saw the fear in some eyes. He saw the awe in others. He saw the profound respect. Isis had truly become a force. She was a force that balanced his own. The sun continued its journey across the sky. The stars continued their silent dance, but the universe felt different. It felt more complete. It felt more harmonious. Isis, the mistress of magic, stood at the heart of it all. Her power was not just might. It was knowledge. It was wisdom. It was understanding. She knew the secret names of all things. She knew the hidden pathways. She knew the ancient spells. She held the keys to creation. She held the keys to transformation. The very air around her crackled. It was not with wild energy. It was with controlled power. It was with serene authority. She had truly mastered her gifts. She walked among the gods. She walked among mortals. Her presence brought comfort. Her presence brought hope. She was a beacon of light. She was a source of strength. The legacy of Ra's secret name was not just power. It was transformation. It was the birth of a new era. It was the rise of a new divine force. Isis, once the clever goddess, was now the supreme enchantress. She was the mother of magic. She was the embodiment of wisdom. Her reign had truly begun. The whispers of her name carried on the wind. They carried across the vast desert. They carried over the shimmering Nile. They carried to the very edges of the cosmos. Isis, the wind seemed to sigh, mistress of magic. The stars seemed to twinkle her name, the earth seemed to hum her power, and so the universe continued its endless journey. It was guided by the sun, it was guided by the moon, and it was guided by the profound, intricate magic of Isis. Her power was gentle, her power was vast. The world slept soundly. It rested under her watchful gaze. It rested under her benevolent protection. It rested, knowing that true power was not just strength. It was understanding. It was knowledge. It was wisdom. Her story was whispered from parent to child. It was passed down through generations. It was etched into the very stones of time. It was a tale of courage. It was a tale of intellect. It was a tale of transformation. The night deepened. The stars shone brightly. The desert air grew cool. And the legacy of Isis, the mistress of magic, continued to unfold. It was a legacy of light. It was a legacy of power. It was a legacy of boundless wisdom. The sun dipped lower still. Its last rays stretched long across the desert, a final golden embrace. The ochre dunes seemed to hum with the lingering warmth. Their peaks softened to velvet in the fading light. A gentle breeze, a sigh from the distant Nile, whispered through the fronds of the date palms that stood like ancient sentinels. It carried the faint, intoxicating scent of night-blooming jasmine, a perfume that promised mystery and enchantment. The sky, a canvas of deepening hues, transitioned from fiery orange to soft rose, then to a profound indigo. One by one, hesitant at first, then with increasing confidence, the stars began to appear. They shimmered like scattered diamonds, each one a tiny beacon in the enormous velvet dome above. This quiet, breathtaking beauty settled over the land, a blanket of peace descending with the twilight. It settled over us, too, as we lay nestled in our soft linen beds, the cool air caressing our faces. The day's adventures, the playful splashes in the cool river, the stories whispered under the shade of a sycamore tree, the vibrant colors of the market faded gently. They made way for peaceful thoughts, for the quiet contemplation of ancient tales. We thought of Isis, the clever goddess, and Ra, the magnificent sun god. Their story, rich with wisdom and wonder, lingered in the air around us, as warm and comforting as the lingering embrace of the sun. Isis, the clever goddess, she had taught us much, hadn't she? Her tale was not one of brute force or thunderous pronouncements. She showed us the true meaning of power, a power that wasn't always about thunderous might, nor a blinding flash of light that scorched the earth. Sometimes, power was quiet, subtle, like the slow, steady erosion of a river, carving its path through stone. It was found in understanding, in knowing, in the quiet strength of intellect. We imagined her, draped in robes the color of a moonlit sky, her eyes shining with an inner light, her expression serene, yet determined. She had sought knowledge, not for selfish gain, but for influence, for the ability to protect and nurture. She pursued it with unwavering purpose, her will as unyielding as the granite of the pyramids. She knew that Ra's true name held immense significance, far more than a mere collection of sounds or a label. It was the very essence of his being, the core of his divinity, the secret vibration that held him together and allowed him to create. To know it was to understand him completely, to touch the very fabric of his existence. And to understand him was to hold a piece of his power, not to steal it, but to share in its profound mystery. Think of it a name, a secret name whispered only in the deepest chambers of his divine heart. It was hidden deep within him, protected not just by his immense power, but by eons of sacred tradition. Yet, Isis, with her unparalleled wisdom, found a way. She used her keen mind, sharper than any obsidian blade. She used her patient observation, watching the patterns of the gods as carefully as a priestess reads the stars. She used her boundless determination, a force as enduring as the desert itself. She waited, not in haste, but with the quiet patience of the Nile before its annual flood, for the perfect moment. She saw her opportunity, a tiny crack in the armor of divine pride, and she seized it with the precision of a falcon striking its prey. Her plan was intricate, delicate, woven with care and foresight. A serpent, a tiny creature of the earth, often overlooked, became her instrument. It was a creature of shadows, of hidden places, a symbol of both cunning and healing. But Isis, with her divine sight, saw its potential. She imbued it with her magic, a silent, shimmering energy, and whispered her task into its unblinking eyes. The serpent, transformed by her will, became a vessel of her ingenious plan. The serpent delivered its venom, not a crude, destructive poison, but a potent, swift essence designed to bypass physical defenses and strike at the very core of a god's being. It was meant for Ra, the mighty sun god, whose golden chariot traversed the heavens each day. He, who illuminated the world with his fiery presence, was brought low by a creature so small. His divine strength wavered, his brilliance dimmed, like the sun struggling behind a cloud. He was in pain, a searing agony that spread through his immortal form, threatening to consume him. His mighty roars of anguish echoed across the celestial plains, shaking the very foundations of the cosmos. And in that moment of profound vulnerability, that was when Isis acted. She approached him, her voice a balm, her presence radiating calm amidst his torment. She offered solace, a gentle hand reaching out to soothe. She offered healing, a promise of release from his unbearable suffering. But her offer came with a condition, spoken softly, but with unwavering resolve. She needed his secret name, the very thing he guarded most fiercely. She needed it, she declared, not for her own gain, but to save him, to lift the curse that plagued him. Ra resisted at first, his immense pride warring with the excruciating pain. His secret was sacred, a private sanctuary of his divinity. He had held it close for eons, a knowledge so profound it was the foundation of his authority, the very source of his endless power. To reveal, it was to surrender a part of himself, to become vulnerable in a way he had never known. The agony twisted his features, his golden skin paling with suffering, his fiery eyes dimming. He writhed, torn between his eternal secret and the unbearable torment. But the pain grew worse, spreading like wildfire through his divine form, threatening to consume him entirely, to extinguish his very essence. He, the creator of all, the father of gods and mortals, was helpless. He was humbled, brought to his knees by a tiny serpent and the cleverness of a goddess. His agony finally outweighed his pride. With a shuddering breath that seemed to shake the stars, he finally spoke the words, the ancient, potent syllables of his true name. He whispered it, a sound that resonated through creation, entrusting it to Isis, his voice hoarse with pain and surrender. And the moment he did, something profound shifted. The power flowed, not in a forceful transfer, not in a violent taking, but in a quiet, subtle understanding. She now knew him, truly knew him, understood his essence, his vulnerabilities, his strengths, his very being. And with that understanding came influence, a profound connection that transcended mere power. It was as if a thread of light connected their souls, a shared secret that bound them. Isis healed him then, her hands glowing with ancient magic, the venom's curse lifting like a shadow dispelled by the sun. Ra recovered, slowly at first, then with renewed vigor. His light returned, brighter than ever. His strength was restored, his divine essence whole once more. But he was changed. He was no longer the sole possessor of his deepest secret. Isis shared in that knowledge, holding a part of his power, a piece of his very essence within her own being. This story reminds us of something profound, something often overlooked in a world that values outward displays of strength. It reminds us of the true strength of knowledge. It is not always seen, not always loud, not always accompanied by trumpets and fanfare. It is often quiet, deep, like the silent growth of a mighty tree. It is like the roots of an ancient tree, unseen beneath the earth, yet they anchor the tree firmly against the fiercest storms, drawing sustenance from the hidden depths. Knowledge is a powerful tool, more potent than any sword. It can open doors that seemed permanently sealed. It can illuminate paths through the darkest wilderness. It can bring understanding where there was only confusion. It can bring wisdom that guides our choices. It can even bring influence, allowing the gentle to negotiate with the mighty, the seemingly weaker to stand as an equal. It allowed Isis to stand as an equal, to negotiate with a god, to achieve her goal through intellect rather than might. Think of how much we learn each day, from the simplest observation to the most complex concept. Every new fact, every new idea, every new skill we acquire, they are like tiny sparks. They gather together, not with a sudden explosion, but slowly, steadily, building into a quiet, persistent flame. That flame is our wisdom, and it grows brighter with each new discovery, each new insight. It illuminates our world, allowing us to see more clearly, to comprehend more deeply. Even the mightiest can be outwitted. Even the strongest can be challenged. Ra was the supreme god, the king of the heavens, the father of creation, worshipped by all. Yet, his brute strength was not enough to protect his deepest vulnerability. His divine power could not protect his secret, could not save him from the pain inflicted by a tiny creature. Isis, with her quiet cleverness, succeeded where strength would have failed. She used her mind, her insight, her strategic thinking, qualities that are often underestimated. These qualities proved more potent, more effective, more enduring than raw power. They were her true weapons, her greatest assets, forged not in fire, but in contemplation and understanding. So, as you drift off to sleep tonight, remember this profound lesson. Remember the quiet power of knowing, the gentle strength of understanding. It is a power that resides within us all, waiting to be cultivated, waiting to be used, not for dominance, but for growth and connection. It is in the quiet moments, in the thoughtful reflections, in the diligent learning, in the patient observation of the world around us. That is where true wisdom grows, like a desert flower blooming after a rare rain. That is where true power blossoms, not with a roar, but with a gentle unfurling. It is not found in grand gestures, nor in loud declarations. It is found in the quiet acquisition of knowledge, in the silent expansion of our minds. Imagine a vast library, not of stone, but of starlight. Its shelves reach to the sky, adorned with countless books, each one glowing with inner light. Each book holds a piece of knowledge, a fragment of truth, and each one whispers a secret to those who are willing to listen. To read them is to gain a part of their power. To understand them is to grow, to become more. Our minds are like those libraries, always expanding, always collecting. Every story we hear, every question we ask, every answer we find, they add to our store of wisdom, enriching our inner world. They make us stronger, more capable, more resilient. And just like Ra's secret name, some knowledge is deeply personal. It is uniquely ours, woven from our experiences, our feelings, our dreams, our deepest hopes and fears. These inner truths also hold power, a quiet, profound energy. They shape who we are, they guide our path, they define our unique perspective on the world. This story teaches us to value that inner world, to nurture our thoughts, to seek understanding, not just of the vast world around us, but of ourselves. To know ourselves truly and deeply is a profound wisdom, a deep, quiet power that allows us to navigate life with grace and purpose. The stars now twinkle brightly, countless and silent, each one a distant world, each one holding its own mysteries waiting to be discovered. They remind us that there is always more to learn, always more to discover, always more to understand. The universe is vast, and knowledge is endless, a shimmering ocean stretching beyond our sight. And in that vastness, there is comfort, there is peace, there is the gentle promise of new understandings that await us with each new dawn. Each day brings new opportunities to learn, to grow, to connect. Each night brings quiet reflection, allowing the day's lessons to settle. We grow stronger with every passing moment. We grow wiser with every thoughtful breath. So close your eyes now. Let the story settle in your heart, like the dust settling on the desert floor at night. Let the wisdom of Isis, the clever goddess, guide your dreams. Remember the immense power of knowledge, the quiet strength of cleverness, the profound influence of understanding. These are gifts within us, waiting to be used, waiting to blossom. The world outside is hushed, cradled in the arms of night. The moon, a silver coin in the indigo sky, casts its soft, ethereal glow, illuminating the path to dreamland. You are safe. You are warm. You are loved. And you are so very wise, for you hold the power of knowledge within you, a gentle, guiding light that will illuminate your way through life. Sleep deeply now, little one. Dream of ancient gods and goddesses, of pharaohs and pyramids, of the majestic Nile flowing through time. Dream of the endless possibilities that knowledge brings, of the quiet strength that resides in a clever mind. May your mind be filled with peaceful thoughts, and may your heart be filled with quiet contentment. Good night. If these whispers brought you rest, you're welcome to subscribe for more calm tales. A gentle, like also guides fellow night owls here.